We'll move on to our second keynote this morning, which is David Pickett, who is Business Development at TriPartum. David, have you got our presentation you'd like to share as part of your talk?
Yeah, sure. Great. So, yeah, my name's David. I work for a company called TriPartum. We're a small team of 6 of us based in Stevenage in North Hertfordshire. And we're all about, as it says here, helping organisations and customers understand what information is being delivered to them. I'm just going to quickly kind of go through some examples of what we're doing at the moment that I thought would be interesting. A lot of our work at the moment has been focused around rent and service charges. A lot of disruption, of course, to service charges, service provision, and what's going on effectively would be the kind of statement. And we work very closely with organisations to make sure they can communicate that information effectively in a way that is personalised to every single resident, and it is also in a way that works for the end recipient as well. So that's relevant information and information that makes sense to them. Working with quite a few different associations of whole different shapes and sizes. We've had some new ones that I need to update logos on this list as well over the last couple of months. But as you can see, there's kind of no one size fits all when it comes to the organisations that we're working with. So what is it that we do and the problem that we solve? Effectively, we find that typically providers you're probably used to managing lots of different systems. You're going to have spreadsheets for things like service charges and repairs. You might have digital apps where you're bringing in data around what repairs were carried out when and how. You're going to have data on rent payments, benefit information, account statements, and so on and so forth. And this whole kind of complex mind map almost of different data sources of information about you as an individual and therefore your customers. We're all about bringing all of that together into one view, into one place in our platform. And having access to all that data means that we're able to drive forward communications that are completely personalised to each and every resident as well. So no more ifs, no more buts. We're able to talk to people using all the data that you already have around them. And the beauty of what we do with that as well is that we combine that with a customer-based approach to design as well. So we work very closely with customer engagement panels, customer involvement groups, residents themselves in some scenarios to really build communications that work and have the information that people actually want and crucially need as well to take action. And does it work? Well, the answer is yes, it does. And here are just some of the top level stats that we found over the past kind of 12 to 18 months of the work that we've been doing. And interesting to note here that all of these stats are from the associations listed themselves, but also that there's a variety of different applications that we found. Over this kind of Corona period, for want of a better phrase, we've actually managed to reduce query calls at places like Castles and Coasts by around half when it comes to rent information, because for the first time, people are receiving rent statements and account information that is completely relevant to them, and therefore they take the action that they need to as well. We're also around saving materials. We're not a printer. We work closely with printers to make sure that you're not printing more than you need to. Everything we do is therefore in the digital space, which means that we can help with the digital transition from sending out some communications via a different method. That might be email, SMS, that might be a combination as well. So maybe a text to remind someone that something's coming in the post as well. And just finally, how does that look in practice? Well, here's some different service charge breakdowns from A2 Dominion and Southern Housing Group. So you can see we're not just about doing work with data, but also making it look presentable. We can also do graphical presentation. And of course, every single thing that you see on the screen is completely controlled by logic and data from each of these associations. So if I don't pay for tree maintenance, for example, I don't receive any information about that either. And that also applies to benefit information as well. And here's just to close a very small example of that on the right, of how we're talking to people in a different way depending on the information that you might have as an organisation about them. And that ultimately means that you can deliver communications that are working for end recipients and drive down queries, but also increase engagement as well, and improve the acknowledgement as well, I should say, of your brand as well with people. So here's just some pretty pictures to finish of some of the work that we've been doing very recently. This is a piece we just did for Accent Housing in the North during coronavirus to remind people what's going on effectively in their area, but also crucially to make sure that information is being kept up to date as well, which is something that, as I'm sure you're all very aware of, very important in terms of getting hold of residents, knowing what's going on in their property, and ultimately as well also knowing what improvements are being made. This data comes from about 20 different places, and we pull all of that together to create this personalised information. But that's us. As I say here, we're all about championing everyday communication. So we're working on a whole variety of different problem-solving issues at the moment with different associations, and be that to do with data or to do with the presentation of communications as well. But that's us.